Olaf Carlson-Wee, founder and CEO of Polychain Capital, one of the true OGs in the digital investing space. Always a pleasure to have you on the show, Olaf.
Yeah, Ash, it's great to be back and always enjoy these conversations.
So we're here to talk about what's going to be happening in 2022. I was actually just reviewing my notes before we got started here, and I realized that many of the things that we're talking about here at the end of 2021 were things that you were talking about in 2017, way ahead of the curve on Web3 and some of the new technologies that are out there that are just starting to catch on. Olaf, as you look ahead, where do you think we are right now, and what do you see for the future?
Yeah, so 2021 to me is the beginning of the mainstreamization moment for cryptocurrency technologies. Before this year, it was still largely a relatively fringe group of people that were mostly computer scientists and investors building, for each other, but a little bit in a vacuum. And an interesting thing about cryptocurrency is it's more of a movement, right, than it is, this incrementalism of trying to solve an extremely concrete problem today. And the result of that movement, has been this incredible infrastructure and foundation. And we're finally starting to see, mass market consumer use cases for people who don't care about cryptocurrency beyond, its usefulness for them. And so this is, the beginning of the next era to me, which is kind of onboarding the first billion people into this and really providing, consumer-facing applications that are mass market and extremely useful for people, whether they be creators or consumers of content or financial services or whatever it might be. And so it's a big moment in crypto, and it feels like we've kind of finally come out of the fringe and into the mainstream.
Well, it was always a cool fringe, and it was fun to be there in the beginning, but it's even more fun now to see how this is really beginning to blossom. You talk about some consumer services. Where do you think we are with that? What do you think will be the first to come online? What's going to be the first killer app of digital assets?
So I think somewhat surprisingly for a lot of us that have been in this a long time, the first killer product clearly is NFTs. It's this idea of collectibles online that could be digital art, digital photography, owning a soundtrack, owning a TV episode, and the NFT world is only going to expand. So the types of assets that are represented as NFTs, we're still in the early days, and it's going to continue to grow. But that really has been the breakout app that has caught the imaginations of many people who maybe were less interested in inflation hedges or financial services or payment technologies or things like that. And this, kind of NFT explosion, it is a more consumer-friendly, relatively speaking, way to interact with these systems. Because once you wrap your head around the idea that there can be an authentic version of something in a digital environment. Now that's something that is hard for a lot of people to wrap their head around. But once they sort of wrap their head around that, it's simple, right? Because you can look at an image or a song and feel like, yeah, I own the original version of this. And one of the remarkable things is that, there's been this explosion in NFTs, despite the fact that the onboarding experience and tooling available to people to interact with these systems is still, it's like a prototype kind of system. So when you look at the steps and hoops you have to jump through to interact with NFTs, it's quite complicated. You have to sign up to some sort of cryptocurrency exchange, which is sort of like opening a bank account just for this particular service. Then you have to download third-party software. So things like, say, MetaMask. You have to then purchase Ethereum or Solana or whatever cryptocurrency you need to interact with these NFTs. And then you have to go to, a variety of kind of bespoke NFT marketplaces and make these purchases, store it on a public-private key pair. And it's still very hard. So the fact that we have the type of traction we have, given what the user experience looks like, is very exciting to me. Because solving a lot of those user experience problems, it's just coming. It's just going to get better and better and better. This is going to move away from desktop and towards mobile. Key management systems are always improving and becoming more consumer friendly. And that alone is a huge unlock. So today, the fact that we have the traction we have in DeFi and NFTs, despite what is ultimately a really poor UX for the average person, it just shows how much pent up demand there really is for these things.
Yeah, extremely well said. It's like 3 minimal, non-trivial hops to get involved in this ecosystem, and yet something about NFTs have connected to people at a very emotional level in a way that, for example, yield farming didn't. You mentioned, at scale, people who are not like nerdy on the space like we are, who are not here every day looking at it. There's something about this connection that they feel to the art, to the music, that has really just brought them out and into the space. You mentioned a couple of points there, the UI, UX issues, the number of hops that it takes to get through, key management. Give us a sense of how you think about where that is going.
Yep. So I think one of the really interesting side effects that I think in a sense was sort of unintended about the public-private key pair as sort of the core substrate of the way you interact with a lot of these systems is the login experience. So we're used to a web where you put in an email and a password, and your email is sort of this super admin access to every web application that you interact with. You can, reset your password through that, and you have this odd system of either the same password used for everything, or like a password manager that manages, thousands of different passwords that you might have. And so it all feels a bit hacked together when you really look at the way it all works today. Whereas with, say, an Ethereum key pair, you use that Ethereum public key to sort of log in to every single one of these services. And there's no going through email, there's no password. And because of that, you sort of log in once, and then every single time you go back to that application, it knows you and remembers you. So there's like this very interesting UX improvement. Once you've gone through all of those hops, you're sort of pre-logged in to all of these services when you move to them. So these are the sorts of things that I think we need to really lean into when designing product experiences for average people in crypto. You can actually improve the product experience in various ways once you've onboarded users. I do think that there's sort of 2 ways, though, to classify a cryptocurrency user. One is somebody who owns a crypto coin, and most of those coins are stored on centralized exchanges. So they're stored in a Binance, stored in a Coinbase, and you own the asset, you have rights to the asset, but you can't interact with on-chain systems. So you can't really interact with DeFi, you can't interact with NFTs or any of the really cool other applications that are coming out. People are calling these kind of Web3 applications or sort of blockchain native applications. Most of the time to interact with those, you actually need to custody your own key pair in some manner. And so I do think that is going to be one of the foundational user experience challenges, is how do we make this mobile friendly, and how do we make recovery simple? You shouldn't just drop your phone in the bathtub and lose everything, right? It can't work like that. So we need to sort of design key management services so that we can get more cryptocurrency users, not just being sort of investors through exchanges, but actually users of these Web3 applications, which requires them on some level to use either a hardware wallet, Chrome extension wallet, or something that manages that public-private key pair for them. Now, if we can onboard those users, and there's a lot of really cool ways you can use things like, for example, the secure enclave inside the iPhone to do key management in sort of novel ways. And we have all these cool authentication mechanisms that we carry around without really thinking about it, like Face ID on our iPhones. I do think that we can utilize a lot of the existing infrastructure out there on a hardware level to make it easier and easier and easier to interact with these Web3 native, blockchain-based applications. But that, to me, is going to be a big part of the next 2 or 3 years in this story, is how do we get more end users actually interacting with apps and not just investing in assets.
Hey, if you like this clip, be sure to check out the full interview and more
only on realvision.com/crypto. It's 100% free. Sign up now.